Welcome to Intuitive Flow. I'm your host, Mikaela, intuitive energetic healer, medium, entrepreneur, and mindset mentor with a mission to help you step into your fullest potential by giving you the tools to rid yourself of limiting beliefs, love yourself unconditionally, and create the reality that you dream of living. It is time to transform your mindset, get unstuck, and step into the highest frequency version of yourself who has unshakable confidence. I am even answering your juiciest questions regarding all things intuition, manifestation, personal development, self-love, self-image, and helping you work through your dilemmas, intuitively guiding you to expand your mindset and level up in life. So turn up the volume and get excited for this intuitive flow. Hey guys, and welcome back to Intuitive Flow with Mikaela. I am super excited about today's episode today because we have the beautiful Isabelle here with us. She's going to pour in to us today. She's an expert in content and social media marketing. She is a podcast host as well of the Start Somewhere podcast, which we're doing a little podcast swap here. So excited for that. But Isabelle, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. I'm so excited that you are here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Mikaela. I'm so excited to be here as well. So I essentially help brands and businesses elevate their online presence and sign clients. I do a lot of social media management work as well. So my expertise and skills really lies in content creation, messaging, marketing strategy, all the things. And on top of that, I'm also a NLP practitioner. So I love to talk and help clients all through different mindset modalities and processes. And a big part of my journey as well is I had my business a couple of years ago. I stopped it all suddenly. I went into a 9 to 5. I got myself into a relationship which ended being engaged, and I walked away from the 9 to 5, the engagement, and essentially had the opportunity, and I say opportunity, to rebuild my life, my personal brand, rebuild my business all over again. And within the first month of relaunching my business, I was able to replace my income from my 9 to 5 in that first month. It was a goal of mine. It was such a huge milestone to hit. And I want to share as well, it wasn't a linear path before I landed here. Like, there were so many ups and downs, which I'm sure we'll get into in today's episode. And now I'm essentially living a life that I once journaled about and I once thought was pretty much impossible, because my reality, not even 12 months ago, was so incredibly different. Like, this time 12 months ago, I was at a 9 to 5 in an office, planning a wedding, had walked away from my own podcast, Start Somewhere, from my own coaching business. And yeah, like, a lot of things happened to get me to where I am today. And throughout my coaching now and what I do and my podcast audience as well, I help so many of my clients and my community and also my podcast listeners, simple things that can lead to such huge transformations, such as overcoming fears that hold them back from being seen, whether that's online or also offline, and walking away from judgment and fear of posting or fear of starting that business, starting somewhere, whatever that looks like for them. And yeah, I'm all about helping people create really aligned and powerful personal brands. I've seen so much success, both personally and professionally, from having a personal brand. I get to work on some incredible marketing projects. I've been a part of some really phenomenal creative endeavors as well, from launching apps and hosting workshops. And I just think it's possible for everybody. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I have Start Somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love how you had the perspective shift there of, instead of saying, "Oh, I had to recreate my whole brand and, recreate yourself essentially,"
Yeah.
and instead said, like, I had the opportunity. Like, that is such an incredible mindset to have when it comes to this, because a lot of people would go through that and they would be like, "Oh gosh, like I already went back to the 9 to 5, like I'm stuck here. This is the end of it, and I already got engaged, and I made my bed, so now I've got to lay in it, and like, what if the fear of letting go of um the
Mhm.
feeling that you need to stay in something, even though you deep down know that it's not truly aligned with you anymore. And like that in and of itself is also huge. We're definitely going to get into some juicy details
Oh,
about that. I
love it,
have to
love it.
ask.
Of course.
Because I am also very, very, very aware and familiar with being in that situation.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, tell me more.
We've got some things in common. We've got to love it. I love this, Russ. But incredible. So I've got some questions here for you guys. Well, for you and also for my listeners here
Yes,
to hear all of the incredible wisdom you're about to drop on us. But to go
please.
into a little bit of your story,
Yes.
you've had to completely reinvent yourself personally and professionally. What was the hardest part of calling off your engagement and starting all the way over? And how did you know you could trust yourself through it? And then one more I want to add in there, and you can let me know if I need to repeat this. But why did you feel that you needed to quit? And you might want to start here actually. Why did
Yeah.
you feel like not even quit, but like put a
Oh,
pause, or did you think that you were
yeah.
quitting when you went back to your 9 to 5? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, as in stopping my business, quitting all of
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing that shocked so many people, my community, my listeners, my friends, my family, everybody. And it's so strange. I don't regret it. And in hindsight, it served me for such a reason. And I mean, I'm sure you're quite spiritual, and I'm sure we talk about that on the podcast as well. And and this was right before I had gotten in this relationship that ended in an engagement. So it's so strange, the timing of it all. I remember I was on a holiday with one of my best friends in Bali. And, we had both gone through some ups and downs in life. And it was this really beautiful girls' trip. And we were pulling cards and we were just having really, wholesome, deep conversations. And I had this thought of stopping my podcast and my business for a couple of months. In hindsight now, I can see that my mindset just wasn't there. And in the middle of it, though, I just thought walking away was the easier option. And it's just so strange how it all unraveled. I had thought about it for quite some time. I announced it. Everyone was so shocked. And then I kid you not, 1 week later, I met this person. And then we started what started off as such a beautiful relationship. And it's so interesting because that had started. I then found myself applying for 9 to 5 work. I had noticed I had lost a lot of my spiritual capabilities. My intuition was like turned off essentially. My life was so boring. Like I love to travel and I had just stopped doing all the things that I loved. I was kind of even isolating myself from a lot of my friends. And when I was in the middle of that whole process, life was okay, but it was just okay.
Mm,
It wasn't this amazing life that I actually was living prior. And I just feel mindset got the better of me, support. This was a couple of years ago, so I was a little bit younger as well. And it was like I said, it served me for a purpose and it only lasted not even a year. I mean, and now, like, I'm sure we'll get into it as well. Like, so many things had happened during that time period, planning a wedding, working a 9 to 5. And it's like everything happened all at once and then everything stopped all at once. And I'm not surprised that I've been able to, fall back into so much success and so much passion with my business because I know this is true alignment where I'm supposed to be. And I look
mm,
back now and I'm like, it's so interesting how it's like I just really needed to give that whole life a bit of a go, just dip my toe in. And then it's like I just got sucked into it. And then I'm in a 9 to 5 and I'm engaged. And don't get me wrong, all of those things, they served a purpose. Like truly, they gave me so many life lessons, so many connections, so many insights. And it's like now I'm able to share all of that in my content, a part of my story, in my messaging. And if anything, I feel it just makes me another level of authenticity, another level of relatability because there's no shame about it. And like
100%. Yeah.
that's just life. It's experiences. And I think my mindset yet again, like I know it got the better of me back then, but I know my mindset and I'm, naturally quite positive person. So I'm able just to see, not even the silver lining, but the gold lining in it all. And I'm like, yeah, like that happened to me. And that's like great. Like there's no shame at all. There's no fear. There's no like anything about it. It's just an experience. And now I'm here. And what I was saying before is like, it's like the universe needed me to do that for whatever reason. And I've just bounced back into exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it's even better than what it was a year ago, a couple of years ago
Hmm.
when I had my business, like even better. And I'm able just
Yeah.
to hold myself in such a way. And I think if anything, it's given me even more drive and determination to never go back to that life, to never settle, to never walk away when things get hard, and instead just to listen to my heart and my passions, and not just like, sign up to the quote unquote typical life we're supposed to live, because
Mhm.
that's not my thing.
Do you think that when you did go back to the 9 to 5 and you had made that decision, that you said you didn't have the right mindset for your business, do you also believe that maybe there was a part of you who was burnt out and not really hitting the quote unquote success that you felt you were quote unquote supposed to be creating for yourself, and you just kind of were like, I'm sick of feeling like I'm in a guinea pig, circle where I'm just running in place. And I feel like maybe it is just, maybe this is too much, or like
Yeah.
falling into the kind of listening to what other people around you were saying. Maybe you should just go back to the 9 to 5. It's probably going to be easier. It's more stable,
Yes.
more sustainable,
Easier.
etc., so on and so forth.
Yes.
More predictable. And
Hmm.
so you're like kind of allowed you said your intuition was off. So you kind of allowed yourself to
Yeah.
fall into the trap. But all along, like I have an intuitive feeling that this
Yes.
was that this was 110% your higher self's way of being like, okay, you want to not listen to your intuition. You want to listen to everyone else around you. You want to know what it's really like to live the normal, quote unquote, stable life. Okay, great. Here you go. Here it is. But you're going to fucking hate it in 6 months.
Yeah.
You're going to go back to feeling exactly the way that you feel right now.
Yeah.
And then we're all going to be able to look back on this and fucking laugh about it. And it's going to be great. Your higher self literally orchestrated such a beautiful, you said opportunity, because it was such a beautiful opportunity for you to really, maybe take quote unquote 5 steps back, but
Yes.
to propel you forward into what it is that you are actually here to do, your passion, your, what you're here to do in this lifetime. And that's helping others through this work, and creating a life that most people can't even wrap their fucking heads around. So that's
Yes.
incredible.
Yes. Yeah. I think you're very spot on there, Mikaela, with that. And it's true. Like it was the easy option, and it was really wonderful. Like it was, planning the wedding and buying the house and having the marketing job and going to the events. Like on paper, perfect, beautiful. Emotionally, like, it was
I'm
not
in
what
a
I
box.
wanted.
I literally see you being like, I'm in a fucking box. I'm
Yep. Oh
suffocating.
my
I
God,
can't
so
breathe.
much. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. You're not
Yeah.
meant to be, because it did. You're right. Like you're like, but this is like there's a part of
Right?
you that's like, this is
Yes.
everyone's dream.
Yes.
Like, this
Yes.
is what's typical. I'm supposed to be happy. What's wrong with me?
Yeah. And as well, like on top of that, my past fiance, he had proposed within 6 months of us dating. And it's like people around me have been, right? We'll get into that. But people around me had been in relationships for 10 plus years and their partners hadn't proposed yet. And I got it straight away. And we had the perfect wedding plan, the perfect dress, the perfect everything, the events, the
Wow.
traveling, the house. Perfect, perfect, perfect on paper. However,
Mhm.
and I think as well, knowing that I had experience running my own business before, and I just was able to do such incredible things. And I was almost looking back at all of the content, all of the stories, all of just my own experiences reflecting. I'm like, wow, I'm actually in awe of my past self. Like
Mhm.
I look at her and it's not even me. Like I didn't associate that with me. And I'm
Mhm.
like, look at her go. She just did whatever she wanted and she made it happen. And then I look around in my reality, I'm like, but it's what I'm supposed to be doing, like my family
Mhm.
members are starting to get married. My siblings, like it was all
Oh,
around
yeah.
me. Yeah. And
That
I'm
was
like,
another
oh
that
yeah,
was
like
another thing for
that's
sure. Like
it.
that timeline was kind of how
Yes.
can I ask how young you are?
Yeah. Of course. I love how you said young. I'm 28. 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this like societal this is something that I had to work through as well. I'm
Mhm.
32. And when I was 28, I definitely went through, the phase of like, oh my gosh, like everyone around me is getting, I had a boyfriend at the time, but like I knew deep down that it wasn't the right
Mhm.
person. And I was continuing to stay in that relationship because he wasn't a quote unquote bad guy.
Yeah.
But I knew that like he wasn't the one. I also knew that like I don't want to fucking settle, but like I also don't
Yes.
want to like take a step back, and I don't want to like be 30 and be single. And like I ended up being 30 and single, and guess what? I'm fine. It was
Yeah, I was
fine.
about
And
to
I ended
say,
up
is
meeting,
it fine? Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. And I ended up meeting like the love of my life when I was
Oh,
31. We've been together
oh,
for almost 2 years now.
love. Love it.
Love, love, love. Yes. So like I completely understand why I bring this up is I completely understand what it's like.
Yeah.
And I feel like the majority of our listeners here today can also
They get it.
relate
They get it.
to the stress of that fucking
Oh,
timeline that is put above our head. Like if you don't have a boyfriend by 29 and engaged by 20, or engaged by, your late 20s, and then
no.
married, and then you start having kids by 30,
Yeah.
fuck, you're probably a shriveled up old lady by the time
Yeah.
you're 32. Like,
Exactly. I know. I know. It's those
it's so
pressures.
stressful. And
Yeah.
it plays such a huge role. And even for you, it played such a huge role in like taking almost a step back so that you
Yeah.
can, or like thinking that you were ready for something when maybe you actually deep down knew you weren't.
Exactly. And it's like we're turning our backs on our truest passions and desires just so we can confidently say, yeah, I work here and I have a partner and we're getting married in the spring. It's like, really? Really?
Ugh. I'm with you. I'm with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
Okay, so when you were like in it, okay, ooh, this is a good question.
Okay. I'm scared.
When he got down on one knee,
Okay.
what did you feel? Like what was your body? What was your body telling you? Like
Oh
was
my
there a
gosh.
part of you that was like, run, like say no? Or was
It
it
was
like a full body yes in the moment?
in the moment, yes, because I said
Okay.
yes. And it's
Okay.
interesting because our relationship, I don't want to get into it too much, but it was so many incredible highs so
Mm-hmm.
suddenly, if you can kind of get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Yes.
And it happened within 6 months and it just, yeah, it was a roller coaster, you know?
Yeah.
And it was really fun at the start. And then when the engagement happened and everything, and we both kind of said it, it's so interesting. Like a lot of hurdles suddenly came out of nowhere because it was a fairy tale. I honestly felt like a
Mm-hmm.
Disney princess. It was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then so many hurdles started to come up. And that's how I knew the universe was like giving me a nudge, being like, Isabelle, like, pay attention to the signs. And it's so interesting because I still kept my practices where I would meditate and journal and do all those things, but not as much. And I
Mm-hmm.
really just started to dim them down. And it was really sad because I had a conversation with my best friend about this. And even she was like, I got off that phone call with you and I felt really upset because I was telling her how I've just stopped all these like practices that I love to do. And she's like, I just had to kind of watch you do what you had to do. And like, bless her, she was there for me through it all, but she knew I had to figure it out on my own. And in the moment, I thought that was perfectly fine. I thought I was just growing up. I'm like, yeah, I'm becoming an adult. I can put all that right. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, to answer your
Uh,
question, like, it's like, I started to get the signs, but I was pushing them down. And it's really interesting because I was still journaling that I was saying before, and I was starting to get these like inklings that something was wrong, that something was up, that there was something I couldn't quite trust. And I was actually journaling it. And it's like my higher self, my intuition was telling me on paper. I had written down my biggest fear only for it to basically, it was true. Not that I manifested it, but my intuition was telling me it was true. And then I found out about a month later that all these things were actually true. And that led me to ending it all and just this whole rebrand. And it was it's a pretty insane story and a very crazy journey.
mhm.
But the hindsight has given me the emotional intelligence, the way, like the maturity it's giving me, just everything. Like it's just, yeah, it's been a crazy blessing in disguise. And I love the person that I've become since that whole situation has happened. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Okay. So, question number two.
Okay.
So many people struggle with showing up online because we're going to pivot here. So many
Love it.
people struggle with showing up online because of fear,
Mhm.
whether it's judgment, imposter syndrome, or just not feeling quote unquote good enough. What was your biggest block around visibility, and what was the breakthrough that changed everything?
This is such a great question. Firstly, it's such a common feeling. It's such a common experience we all encounter. And it's actually funny. I was talking to a client yesterday about this. And in Australia, we have this thing called tall poppy syndrome. Have you heard of it before?
I have not
So
talked
it's
to
this
you syndrome.
Australian thing. It's so strange. So essentially, the culture here in Australia, people are even more afraid to show up online, to create vlogs, podcasts, become influencers, post about their life, go after their dreams, become entrepreneurs, become business owners, because there's this theory, there's this thing called tall poppy syndrome, where we essentially put other people on pedestals. We think we're not good enough. We compare like crazy. And it's this Australian cultural norm. It's so bizarre. And so yeah, I don't think it's a thing anywhere else in the world. Like, you haven't heard of it before, have you?
I mean, I've definitely not heard of the term like tall
Yes.
puppy or poppy.
Poppy, like the flower, tall poppy syndrome.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, okay.
Australian.
I haven't heard of the term, but I
Yes.
1000% know that
Yeah,
there are people all over the world who put people and things up on a
on
pedestal, making it
pedestal.
mean something about themselves.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Well, it's just like the culture. Like, it's so prominent here. And
Mm,
so yeah, to get back to what we're talking about, fear of being seen, it's like the thing that really helps me overcome it, it's like this mind shift where essentially we get so worried about, okay, we're posting a story, we're launching a business, we're posting a vlog, we're wanting to even just voice or own up, hey, I actually want to pivot my career. I want to do this thing, something that's out of the norm or something that's different. So often than not, it's like we get stuck in a paralysis where we don't even do the actual thing because we're so concerned about what people might be thinking of us. And the piece
100%.
here is like, it's what they might be thinking of us. So it's either true or it's not true. But either way, you are allowing this made up thought to then dictate and get in your own way. And I feel you have
Mhm.
to become so, like, how do I say this? Just like so ingrained in yourself and what you're capable of, where these made up thoughts of people don't get in your way. Because how sad is that? We're allowing these made up thoughts of other people to actually stop us from going after the things that we want. And I feel that happens and that occurs to so many people out there.
100%. Yeah. So what would what was like like how did you figure out that you had this like fear of being seen, and then how did you shift it, and what happened in your like do you believe that this is something you healed in the time that you were not like by the time you had relaunched your business, so that when you did
Mm.
relaunch your business you were like, this is me bitches, like I don't care what any of you thinks, or is this something that you shifted and healed before you even quit your business? Because maybe that's
Yeah.
something that not like quit, but like took a pause
Yeah. Yeah.
because you felt like you needed to do this, and like you also felt like you had to not care about what other people thought about you in the process of that.
Yes. I feel when I launched Start Somewhere, and that was in 2020, I really had no fear. My like mantra was feel the fear and do it anyway. And the reason and how I got to that place is I didn't make it about myself. I made it about what I was putting out there to the world, my
Yes.
content, the changes it was making in other people, and that's the piece. And it's not making it about you. It's making it so much bigger and so much greater, and you're actually helping other people. And when you make it like that, you don't get in your own way.
100%. I say that to my clients all the time. I actually just had a like intuitive read with a client, and we were kind of talking about this fear of being seen piece, and her uh, charging for what she's worth and her services are worth, right? And she said she kind of like felt bad about it, and I'm like,
Oh,
you should feel bad about not putting your services out there and not charging for that, because one, if you don't charge what you're worth, then other people are not going to take what you are doing as seriously,
yes.
and they're not going to see the value in it because you're not seeing the value in it, and this is an
Mhm.
inside out world. Also, if you are how do I if you are not putting your services out there at all, if you're stuck in this, you're stuck in your head and you're not
Analysis
making any moves, you're not
paralysis. Yeah.
starting somewhere
Mhm.
because you're stuck in your limiting beliefs and your mindset, then
Yes.
you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing all of the people that you have the potential to help and make an
That's it.
impact with a disservice, because you're not even giving them the opportunity of learning from you and growing from you. And that in and of itself is huge. And you could
Yes.
just see her shift in real time. Oh my gosh, you are so right. And I had to share that. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
love
I
that.
love that.
Yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Okay. Next question. People assume that posting consistently equals sales. But as you and I know, that's not always the case. What is the number one mistake you see business owners making when it comes to their content and why it's not working or converting sales?
Yes, this is such a great question. Community building. It's
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I say this and I'm so certain on it because it not only helps in our industry in coaching and podcasting and content creation. When I was working in corporate, when I do work with corporate businesses, which I still do a lot, it's that piece of community building. And it's something that has been an evolution. It's something that is now more important than ever because people want to feel a part of something. And I often look at so many other brands out there. I do a lot of research and I get inspiration from brands in e-commerce and just other industries that aren't what I'm in. And it's so interesting that side note, guys, that is the best way to get inspiration. Don't look at other people in your industry. Look at something completely different and gain inspiration from that. That is a game changer. There's this one particular e-commerce brand. They sell proteins and health supplements. That's not my industry. And their marketing is phenomenal. Their campaigns, their strategies, what they do. And it gives me so much inspiration. And there's no way I can copy because it's completely different. So they're a product, I'm a service. There's vastly huge differences. So there's no sense of copying at all. It's that piece of inspiration. And one thing they do particularly well, which I do a lot with my clients and I do my own brand as well. I'm sure you do also with your podcast community, is community. People want to feel a part of something. And so often people are just posting content. There's so many different avenues here. It's, talking about content pillars and the strategy and whatnot, but oftentimes it's me, buy my service, buy my product. It has 6 calls, 6 weeks, unlimited WhatsApp support, or, buy this product. It has all these ingredients and all these things that people don't actually really care that much about. It serves a purpose, yes, but end of the day, they want to feel a part of something. They want to feel seen and heard. They want to know that you're listening to them. And
Yeah,
when we have
100%.
community, it's we're creating, raving fans. We're creating a movement. We're creating people that if you pivot in your business and you launch a new product or a new service, they're going to follow you. And I know I can
Mm-hmm.
talk so much about this because my community for Start Somewhere, they are so insanely loyal. And like you mentioned, it's an inside out world. I've run my podcast it's been 5 years now, and I've been so consistent and so loyal to that platform. And I give so much of my heart to it and so much of my authenticity, and my audience just received that in such a beautiful way. And they are so loyal. And it's so interesting because when I had stopped everything, I even had stopped posting to Instagram for a while, and I was still daily getting messages from my audience, from my community. Hey, Isabelle, where are you? Hey, Isabelle, is another episode coming out? Where's Start Somewhere? We miss you. Hey, Isabelle, are you okay? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
and I was getting downloads every single day, despite not even releasing an episode for over a year. I was still checking the analytics and I'm my downloads are just going up and up and up. And I'm not even present on social media at this moment. There was a time I
Yeah.
even deactivated my Instagram account for a couple of weeks. I'm wow, I really went to a whole new level there. And the point is, my community now, when I came back, I did a soft launch and that soft launch went wild. I was getting the most beautiful messages from my audience and from my community. And I'm yeah, this is 5+ years in the making. This is also a reflection of my commitment, my loyalty to my platform, to my audience, to what I share out there. And a big part of what brought me back are my listeners, because I connect with them. They are an extension of me. They are an extension of my podcast. Like I said, it's not just about me. It's about this bigger movement that I know, intuitively, so deeply, that I know I'm here to share with other, females, males, business owners, anybody really tuning in or engaging to any piece of my content.
100%. Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, community is the biggest thing. You know what's so funny is that when I found you a long time ago.
Really? Yeah, how did
Yeah.
you find me?
I found you through your podcast. So
Oh,
I
how
had just,
lovely.
yeah, I had like, I think it was literally the like week before you decided to stop posting on your
Oh,
podcast or stop
no.
recording episodes. Yeah. And then I was like,
Wow.
oh, like that's interesting. Like I wonder why like she like stopped recording.
Wow.
Didn't really think anything of it. And then obviously because I had already been following you via the podcast,
Yeah.
and then you reposted or you started, re
Yes. My
you
comeback
relaunched, you came back.
is back.
I was like, oh, and then I had been, like I said, building my own podcast, and I was like, I'm gonna reach out to her and see if she wants to collab, and here we
Love
are.
it. Oh my gosh, that's like full circle moment.
I mean, it is. It's
I
totally. I
love
loved it.
that.
I love it
Love
so
that.
much.
That's great.
Yeah, and I also, as far as like the listeners go, and them reaching out to you every day, like, and you
Yeah.
having consistent downloads, even though you're not even like promoting your shit, like
Yeah.
that's incredible. And that's just even more testament of like you're where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And I can totally relate with, I mean, there's been 2 weeks I'm having there was not even too long, probably like 3 months ago, I had a little moment where I just needed to like take a step back and like
Yeah.
breathe.
And that's normal.
Yeah, totally. And I took 2 weeks off the podcast. I was like, I don't even have energy to like show up for you guys my best right now. So I just need to
Yes.
like cocoon myself and I'll emerge when I'm ready.
Exactly.
And when I was gone for those 2 weeks, I stopped posting on Instagram, and that's very rare. Like I post every day. So
Yeah.
for my audience, they were just in my DMs consistently, like, Mikaela,
Mm,
where are you at? Mikaela, what's going on? Like
that's
we
how you
miss you. When's the
know.
next? So same thing. So I can
Yeah.
completely resonate with what you're saying. And I mean, we've both built such like incredible communities, and
Yes.
yeah, that is definitely the key aspect is people over
Yeah.
anything else is
Yeah.
like, how can what's going to, for me, my mindset is like, what's going to help me impact more people. Like I just want
Mhm.
to get into the ears and the eyes of
Yeah.
more people so that I can share what I'm doing, because it's made such a profound impact on my own life
Yes.
that
Yes.
I want to like scream it from the mountaintops and help so
Yes.
many others have that same transformation. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that you feel exactly the same. You're like,
Yeah.
I've created this incredible life for myself, and if I can do it, so can
Oh my
you.
gosh.
Let me
Yeah.
help you. And it's like, so it's just incredible. So,
Yeah,
and I know the feeling.
that's perfectly said. It's like when you realize the changes you've made in your life and what's been possible in such a short period of time. I'm like, why isn't everybody doing this? There's no gatekeeping. There's no, oh no, this is my success. Nobody else can have it. Imagine if
Yeah.
everybody could live their quote unquote dream life. Imagine if everybody could bypass the fear of being seen, bypass fear of rejection, bypass fear of failure, even fear of
Mm,
success. A lot of clients I
yeah.
work with are fearful of success. I'm like, and
Mhm.
I was the same, like, isn't that just so fascinating? So imagine if we could work through those emotions, do the healing, do whatever it is that is going to allow us to move through it and then
Mhm.
get to where we want to be. And I'd love to know your thoughts as well. Do you feel like running your own business is such a self-development journey,
Oh, fuck yeah.
right? I know.
Absolutely. I started off with network marketing. So network marketing, I believe, is like entrepreneurship on training wheels. And it was just like
Yeah,
opening the door
it's
for
so true.
me to like start my own business. And yeah, like I'll never go back. Like I'll never
Yeah.
I'll never not do this work.
Oh, I
And
tried it, don't recommend.
no, exactly. No, and the funniest thing too is like those few months ago when I was in my like down in the dumps, like
Yeah.
unwellness, like really shitty mindset, I was looking at fucking 9 to 5 jobs. Like I was looking
Oh,
at going back to like a
yeah.
quote unquote stable income because things were just like up and down. And I'm like, I cannot do this roller coaster of shit anymore. But then I got to yeah, I know you know the feeling. I got to the emotional root cause of like why I was attracting
Huh?
the so drastic up and
Oh,
downs. And I'm like, also, this is such a learning experience for
yeah.
me. And I know now what I need to do to like stop the drastic up and downs. So it's like, and also like I'm looking at I'm looking on, uh, like all the websites you look at for searching. And I'm like, okay, first of all, none of the incomes, like the yearly incomes, I'm like, I want to make that in a fucking month. Like, what the hell? Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? If I can't make 100K, if I don't have the opportunity to make 100K in 1 month, like it ain't for me. I also
Amen.
want to touch on what you said about, you did say like you said a little snippet about,
Yes.
having success in such a short amount of time. Now,
Mhm.
I know that you are saying that because of like you stopped everything and then you came back to it and you had success. Okay. Incredible. And also, that's not a short amount of time because the reality of the situation is you had been doing this work since for the last 5 years,
Yeah.
right? So, you guys, I have to say this piece because I feel like so many people compare
Mm. Yeah.
your, day one or even year one to somebody else's year five. And
Yes.
that 5 years, that's not even just Isabel, learning how to build a business. That's Isabel also healing herself, having ego deaths, having
Oh,
dark night
yeah.
of the soul situations, right?
So many.
So like to
My
learn
God.
all of that, that's
Yeah.
that takes time. And so
Yeah.
you might just be starting that
Yeah.
part of your journey. Um, and that's, something to always take into consideration is that there's no such thing as comparison
Mhm.
because we are each on our own soul path and we
Yeah.
each have different soul contracts, and God, source, universe, whatever word best resonates with you, didn't create two people with two of the same soul contracts with the same everything and say whoever gets there first fucking wins. Good luck.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, they're each individually given and created and written for us, and that's what we have to
Yes.
hold on to. So yeah, love that. I just
Yeah.
had to
No,
had to
I
leave.
love that you touched on that, Michaela. I actually have a quote next to me. And it says, compare yourself only to who you were yesterday. You are your only competition.
Yes.
And I often say, I'm the
1,000%.
least competitive person. I could not care less. It's me versus me. And it's always
Mhm.
like, how can I do better? How can I be better? And for example, like to give yourself some grace, maybe you've done all the right things on paper. You woke up early, you had your lemon water, you meditated, you journaled, you had your 10-step morning routine, you got your steps in, you went to the gym, you did all
Okay.
these things, right?
Yeah.
And you're still feeling really shit. That's okay. Or perhaps you wake up and you do none of those things and you have an okay day. That's also okay. It's having grace with yourself and knowing that. And I find that often as well. I might do my fancy 10-step morning routine and I'm feeling really average. I'm like, but I did all the things. Why am I feeling good? Or I do all the things and I feel amazing. And it's like there's this really beautiful this graphic I've seen about consistency. And oftentimes we think of like there's 8 glasses of water. And the first image shows all the glasses filled to the brim. And people think that's what consistency is, ticking off your things every single day. Yep, I'm going to post to Instagram, do my stories, meditate, journal, do all these things, tick, 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 tick. You get to the end of the day, you just feel like a shell. You feel like just nothing. There was no fun. You didn't make any time to do something different. You're like, no, I need to stick to my routine, my time blocking. Boring. Consistency. Now think of it. So you have your full glasses at the very top. And I think there's 8 glasses below that. And one is full to the top. One is pretty much empty. One's halfway. One's 3/4 full. All these different levels. That's consistency. There are
Mm.
going to be some days where you do your 10-step routine and you are crushing it. There are some days where you do get all your steps in, you exercise and you feel amazing. There are some days where you do no exercise and you eat a whole block of chocolate. That is also a part of consistency. And that was a really big thing. And like, that is really what got me when I stepped away from my business. I thought I wasn't doing enough. I thought I wasn't doing all the things properly. And I'm like, well, let's just go to this 9 to 5 and go there instead. But now I've learned to have so much grace with myself. And if there are days where I just honestly feel like not working as hard on my business, I'm like, that's okay. because back in the day, I would label that as bad or wrong. And then I'm like, quote unquote, failing. And
Mm,
it's like we create these businesses
been
to have
there.
this sense of freedom,
Yeah,
and
but then
we
we
just have
put
to honor that.
ourselves, but then we create the business to have the freedom, and then we don't give ourselves the freedom
Yes.
because we're so conditioned to not have the freedom, and the freedom is also so uncomfortable. So we've got to like rewire our mind around having the freedom and the peace.
I know.
And it's like this whole situation. Yeah.
It's so
I'm with
bizarre.
you.
Yeah. It's anchoring in, why did you start your business to begin with?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. Next question. Burnout is real, especially for entrepreneurs. You've rebuilt your business and stayed consistent without losing yourself in the hustle. What's your secret to creating content that actually converts without sacrificing your energy?
Authenticity. I really
Mhm.
feel when you're creating from an authentic place, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, yeah, forced essentially. And so I
Yeah.
think as well, like I come from a background where I am a social media manager. So, I have all the systems and processes, the frameworks to create content calendars, to be consistent, to schedule. It's my profession, it's my job, it's like my expertise as well. So I was able to, accompany that as well with being authentic. And
Hmm.
that has been the biggest needle mover for me as well. I honestly never run out of content ideas. I actually just have so much content to post and not enough days to post it. Ideas are never an issue for me. And I've been able to, harness, it's kind of like the balance of feminine and masculine energy. So I have the
Hmm.
structure, I have the calendar, I have my Notion template where it's all thought out. I have, the pillars, the awareness levels, the copy, the call to action, like all the processes, all the masculine things. And then I allow myself the space, the feminine energy to create content, to, if I do get an idea, jot that down in the notes app on my phone, to have a play on Canva one evening if I'm feeling really creative. And then it's that masculine structure that allows me to be like, okay, what's the content I'm posting this week? Let me sit down, let me schedule it. Scheduling is a huge thing. And then just allowing it to kind of flow naturally. And then also having the space for things to come up in the moment, not being
Mm.
afraid to post something that feels intuitively right. And oftentimes, those are the pieces of content that convert the most. Those are the
Hmm.
pieces of content that resonate the most with my community, with a bigger audience, the ones that aren't always, sat down and strategically planned. So, but you need both really. And
Yeah.
if you do want to be consistent, I would advise, yeah, getting a content calendar, getting really clear on how often you want to post. And I say this a lot to my coaching clients. I have a lot of personal branding coaching clients in particular. And I just ask them, what is your schedule? What is your lifestyle? Because we need to create a content calendar that suits your specific lifestyle, not that suits mine or suits somebody else's. And if you
Oh
work a
gosh,
nine to
that is
five,
beautiful.
yeah,
I
if you work
love that you just said that.
it's that permission piece. Yeah, I'm so glad. It's like if you work a 9 to 5 and you're building a business and you're a mom and you do this and do that and all these things, posting 5 days a week probably isn't possible yet, but we will get there. And what I often
Mm.
do is getting really clear on, okay, is it 2, 3, 4 times a week, whatever that is, and knowing that we will increase that as we go. But first you must get really consistent with that first habit. And it's
Mhm.
like, for example, if you want to stop a habit, like maybe right now, I honestly used to drink so much coffee and I'm really trying to reduce that. And instead of going cold turkey, I'm just gradually, week by week, taking off 1 cup, taking off this, that, going a few days without it, just gradually and gradually. And, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so I teach that with my clients as well. It's like, let's start posting twice a week. That's feeling
Mhm.
great. Perfect. Let's go to 3 times a week now, 4 times, 5 times. Let's throw in some Instagram lives there. Let's create more reels. But it's this like gradual journey. And, think of it's building momentum as well. And I love the analogy as well, like the visual of a giant snowball going down a hill and it's picking up more and more snow. And that is the piece of momentum. It starts off really small. There isn't much going, but the bigger it gets, the more you have, you are just flying through it. And I experienced this as well when stopping and restarting my business. It was a bit of a grind at the beginning to really get things moving because I had gone MIA for 12 plus months. And yeah, I had a really loyal community supporting me. However, I still felt that kind of slow stagnation internally. And now things are just quantum leaping, things are doubling, tripling, quadrupling. And it's because I'm riding on this roll of momentum. And I so easily
Totally.
could step off and lose that momentum. And the most important thing is just to keep going, even when it
Yes,
feels challenging and hard. And to do that is coming back to realizing, why are you doing what you're doing, making it so much bigger than just yourself. Like, I'm not just posting a podcast just to tick a box, just because it's what I like to do. So I can say, hi, I'm Isabelle, I have a podcast. No, I'm talking to my community. I'm sharing episodes that include them, that give them insights, and that I'm able to connect with other people like yourself and just, yeah, build this bigger purpose in life, really.
I love that. Beautiful, beautiful answer. I
Thank you.
love that you, like I said about the creating a content like calendar around what works best for you, because I feel like
Yes.
there's so many like generic content calendars that you could, yeah,
Yeah.
like go and just like download one from Google probably, but like does that work around
Yeah.
your schedule? Are those is that the content, the type of content that you are desiring to create, or that your specific ideal client avatar is looking
Yes.
to take in, you know what I'm saying? So that's such an important piece right now, or right there, is like making sure that this is exactly perfect for you, because
For
it's
you.
your brand and you're the creator, and we got to make
Absolutely.
sure that you are filling up your cup and feeling good about what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I love to just do tailored approaches for all of my clients, because what works for me, some of it will work for you, but not all of it.
Mhm.
And that's the beauty
Exactly.
of, one, like specifically one-to-one coaching and mentoring, because we're
Mhm.
really able to tailor that is perfect for them.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. One more question, and
Okay.
then we'll wrap it up.
Love it.
So many people are one decision away from a completely different life, but fear keeps them stuck in what's familiar. What's the biggest should you had to let go of to create the business and life that actually feels aligned to you?
The biggest should I had to let go of
Mhm.
in order to feel aligned.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, there's a few things that come up. Firstly, it's how we think it should look, how
Mm.
we think success should look. And I know, like, in particular with the coaching industry, it's like 10K months and blah, 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 like all that kind of stuff. Ugh,
Mhm.
that stuff gives me the biggest ick. That's like a whole other conversation, though. And
Yeah.
so it's asking yourself, what does success actually mean to you? Success
Yes.
to me actually is health and fitness. That is my number one priority. That's my number one value. I put that
Mhm.
above anything else. I
Mhm.
literally plan out my days and I have that flexibility and freedom, because it's my business,
Yeah.
around when I'm going to work out. Like, that is my number one priority. And that is because when I work out, I feel my best self. Therefore, I can pour into my business and the rest of my life. And
Mhm.
health and fitness has always been such a passion of mine. And so it's getting clear with yourself. Okay, what is that quote unquote should for you? And just get curious, lean into it. Don't always just, sign up to what other people's shoulds are. Ask yourself, what is it for you? And then essentially creating that plan, like getting clear, setting goals around that for you.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I share this a lot, like especially on my podcast, and I've been doing a few Instagram lives recently, saying that, when I came back and relaunched my business, I was extremely strategic about what I was doing. I had been there before. I knew what it took, and I was serious about really leveling up and making as much as I could of my business in as quickly as possible, despite there being that groundwork, of course, from years prior. And so
Mhm.
I got really tactical here. And like I mentioned, health and fitness is a huge part of what I do. I'm also a Pilates instructor as well. And so I'm always training, I'm always working out. I love it. It's a passion. I love the community that I get to train with, like the gym culture. It's so, like, the community I have here is just phenomenal. I love it so much. And that's what motivates me. And where I'm going with all of this is, there was, I'd stopped my 9 to 5. I had all this time again, all this freedom. So I was going to all the gym classes, doing all the workouts, and I was loving it. And I was training so hard, like harder than what I was used to. I was training longer. I was pushing myself, lifting heavier, running faster. And I still am in like the fittest I'm in my fittest self I've ever been. My body is so fit, and it has taken me a while to get here, but I'm so proud of it. And the reason I'm sharing this, I'll get to the point, is like I was pushing myself so hard because I knew how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I was going
Mm.
so hard at the gym, pushing myself, being determined, being disciplined, showing up even when I didn't have motivation, which happens to all of us, because
Yes.
I knew that would ripple into my business. And
Mm.
that is exactly what it did. I was like, yes, tick, it worked. It did the thing. Because how you
Yeah.
show up in one area is how you show up in other areas. And like, for example, when I had walked away from my podcast, my business, all of the things, I was essentially walking away from a part of me. I was walking away from
Mhm.
my purpose, my passion, what I love to do, the thing that set my heart on fire. And
Totally.
like I've had like I've done so much healing from that whole process, and it was really sad. I really had to like forgive that part, that version of myself who did that. She was doing the best she could with the resources that she had, and now I know that I will never, I know people say never, but I know I will never get to that point again, because I know what it's like, and I know what it's like walking away from a deeper passion and purpose of yours when you know that's what you're supposed to be doing. It's like you're kind of cheating on yourself, and it's
Mm.
like you're giving up on yourself. And
Yeah.
we're here to live life to the fullest. We're here to just grab it by both hands and both feet and just jump straight in. We're not here to just like dip a toe in on one side and dip a toe on the other. And that's what I was doing with applying for a 9 to 5 and living that whole life. I was like just dipping my foot in, first dipping a toe, then a foot, and then before I knew it, it's like I was drowning. I was in this
Yeah.
life that I didn't want to live. And like, thankfully I could swim, and thankfully I could swim and get myself out of this lake, up into the shore, and be able to start to pick up the pieces again. But with this like, intense sense of resilience and capability and courage. Like, courage is huge as well. I really think to go after what you want, even just to have confidence, takes a huge
Mhm.
pillar of courage, because you have to believe in your own capabilities, even when there's firstly nobody clapping for you, and
Mm.
secondly when you're not seeing the results yet, because results are often
100%.
invisible. Think about when
Yeah.
we're training at the gym. You don't get a six pack after one reformer class. You don't get a cute beauty after doing 10 squats. That shit takes months and months and months, and commitment
Yeah.
and discipline. And
100%.
just if you remind yourself, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're starting a business, if you're starting a brand, even if you just want to do any of those things, just have a look at other areas of your life, other pillars. What's your relationship like with your partner? What about your home life? What about your health, your fitness, your sleeping, like your journaling, your meditation? Like, how are you treating other areas of your life? Because I just feel, somebody super healthy is most likely healthy in a lot of areas of their life. Otherwise, it's just a facade, like what's the point of having this incredibly fit, healthy body, whatever that is to you, but your mind is just a shithole, really. Like, for lack
Yeah.
of better words, it's just not a fun place. It's so negative. You're comparing yourself to everybody. You're struggling with just so many different things, but on the outside, yeah, you have a hot body, but like, is that it? Like, what's the point of
Exactly.
that?
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I love that. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Isabel. I'm going to wrap it up. That was all the questions I have for you. And it was so good. We're coming up on an hour, which is crazy. Time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies. Oh my gosh.
But I absolutely love this episode. I feel like there's so many little golden nuggets. And can you just
Same.
give my audience a little bit of a like where do we find you? What are you working on? How can they find you, and how can they work with you?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Mikaela, for having me. It's been so much fun chatting with you. As you mentioned, Mikaela, I have a podcast as well, Could Start Somewhere, where we will also be recording an episode. So be sure to check out our conversation on there as well. And if you are wanting help or guidance with any of your content marketing, your social media, your personal branding in particular, jump onto my Instagram. It's isabelle.startsomewhere. I have an upcoming masterclass, which is all about how to never run out of content ideas, because I've realized that is my forte. And I've realized not everybody actually, experiences that. It's quite normal for me to never run out of ideas. So I'm so excited to share all that value there. But yeah, jump onto the podcast and my Instagram and get into my world. And I'm just, yeah, so excited and so thankful to have the opportunity to share all of this with your audience today.
Oh my gosh, of course. And I might end up having to join that masterclass because that sounds
Absolutely.
incredible.
Perfect. I'll see you there.
Amazing. Yay. And I'll see you on your podcast. I
Yay.
cannot wait. Thank
So
you again
excited.
so much. So grateful for you for showing up, for taking the time to be here and to pour into my audience. All right, guys. I love you guys. As always, make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe to this channel. Save, screenshot,
All the
put it on
things.
your Instagram, 5 stars, rating and review. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening.
Hey.
And as always, we will chat soon. Bye.